If you've ever woken up to a sound that's somewhere between a siren, hysterical laughter, and a cold-blooded threat, then chances are you've had a goose too. For me, Andrew Grayson, the thing that drags me into consciousness every morning isn't coffee, it's Helen, a tiny winged bringer of the apocalypse, sovereign of the yard, and the relentless tormentor of my heart. That morning, everything started before sunrise. I stepped out onto the porch, doing my best not to trip over the feed container, and saw Helen frozen above the lawn in a pose that looked straight out of an action movie, the part right before the hero slams someone's head into a wall. Only in my case, the someone was an inflatable flamingo the wind had blown in from someone else's pool. Helen stood there, wings spread, eyes narrowed, as if saying, "Take one more step, you pink monster, and the world will collapse." Helen?" I whispered. "It's just a toy." She barked, loudly. I jumped back. "I'm 26, live in Denver, work as a designer, and have a long list of life goals, but none of them ever included be held hostage by my own goose." And then it happened, the thing that turned my whole life upside down. Pure instinct made me grab my phone and hit record. The footage was shaky, like a cheap horror movie, but the moment was undeniably epic. Helen lunged forward, slammed into the flamingo, and attacked it with such fury you'd think she was saving the world from an alien threat. "You're not a goose at all. You're a tiny Terminator," I blurted out. I posted the video on TikTok without even thinking twice. Added a caption, "When Monday walks into your yard without permission." Then I plugged in my phone to charge and went about my day. The next morning, I hoped nothing would explode. I was wrong. I didn't wake up to the goose, I woke up to notifications. They poured in like coins from a broken slot machine. 1 million views, 500,000 likes. Comments in an endless stream. This is the spirit of my Monday. Put a crown on her. Show more attacks. I stared at my phone thinking only one thing. What have I done? For the first few minutes, it was even kind of funny. I walked into the yard and found Helen standing in the middle of the lawn as if she were waiting for the applause to begin. "Well, superstar," I sighed, "are you happy?" She honked proudly and attacked my shoelace. By noon, the most enthusiastic fans had somehow tracked down my address. The first two appeared at the gate, a girl in a hoodie that said Queen Goose and a guy holding a bouquet of lettuce. Who are you here for?" I asked, though the answer was painfully obvious. "We want a picture with Helen," the girl shouted. "She made our day. Totally lifted our mood." I blinked twice. "She's a goose," I said. "Her purpose in life is to yell at anything that moves." Unfortunately, that didn't stop anybody. By evening, the yard was littered with gifts, designer grain, glossy fan postcards, tiny celebrity capes, and Helen walked around with the regal posture of a queen, preparing to declare war on the neighbor's cat. And at some point, when yet another fan asked for an autograph from her, I realized my life would never be the same again. And this was only the beginning. The next morning, I didn't wake up from notifications, or from Helen, or even from my own anxiety. I woke up from a rumbling noise. At first, I thought it was thunder. Then I wondered if Helen had decided to attack the fridge. But reality was worse. A crowd was standing outside my fence. Not just a handful of people, a full-on camp, with signs, with a camera crew from some local blogger. One guy was even handing out tissues labeled "Helen's Tears, Your Lucky Charm." I opened the door and immediately heard someone scream, "He's out!" The crowd roared, and I briefly wondered whether this counted as an invasion of privacy or an early stage of a cult. "Everyone, please calm down," I shouted, trying to be louder than 20 eager lunatics. "Helen is still sleeping." "Genius!" squealed a girl with pink hair. "She wakes up late to recharge for her attacks." "She's a goose, not a superhero," I groaned, pinching the bridge of my nose. And then, as if she'd been waiting for her dramatic entrance cue, Helen stepped onto the porch. At first, she simply stood there, squinting at the sun. Then she saw the crowd and decided someone had trespassed on her land. She charged. The crowd shrieked, cameras snapped on, someone dropped a bouquet of cabbage, someone started praying, someone else was laughing so hard they were crying. "Helen, no!" I yelled, but who was I kidding? She'd never listened to me anyway. A minute later, people were already sharing their impressions like they'd just survived a roller coaster ride. "She pecked me," a guy in a scarf said proudly. "It's an honor!" I looked up at the sky, wondering if maybe I should just move to Alaska. But Helen seemed to read my thoughts because right then she stomped on my shoe, reminding me, "Nowhere for you to go, my servant!" After lunch, the mailman Michael showed up. Poor guy had been walking into my place like it was a training ground ever since the video went viral. He held a package like it was a bomb. "Andrew, maybe you could, put her on a leash," he whispered. "She's a goose, Michael, not a dog." Oh, so, is there any psychological way to, influence her?" "There is," I exhaled, "but she affects me way more than I affect her." Helen lunged at him, sending the package flying into a bush. Michael screamed and ran, not waiting for me to sign the delivery slip. I picked up the box. It was a package from New York. Someone had sent Helen sunglasses, along with a tiny sequin fanny pack. As I stared at this ridiculous bounty, 3 guys in t-shirts appeared from around the corner. Helen Squad. One of them was holding a megaphone. "We want to organize a fan meetup," shouted the loudest one, "at Skyline Park. We think it's going to be huge." "The only thing going to be huge is my nervous breakdown," I muttered. "What? Nothing. Listen, Helen is just a goose. She doesn't perform concerts, doesn't give autographs, and she sure as hell doesn't fly first class to New York." The guys exchanged glances. "If she doesn't fly first class, we can crowdfund a ticket." I nearly yelped. "Guys, she is not a person." And right at that moment, Helen walked up, slapped me with her wing, and struck a pose for the fans like she absolutely knew a camera was pointed at her. That's when I thought, I've lost control. Completely. And she knows it. Evening was settling in. The sun was dipping behind the rooftops, casting a soft orange glow over the yard. The kind of light that's supposed to make people feel calm. But I am not people. I'm the owner of a goose celebrity, and in my life, calm exists only in internet memes now. I sat on the porch, holding the tiny, glittery sunglasses from New York. Helen stood in front of me, neck stretched proudly, as if she was expecting her next red carpet outfit. "Helen, listen," I started, and she instantly turned her head. That look was so piercing I almost apologized for existing. "We need to have a serious talk." She honked back. I inhaled, deeply, preparing for the hardest conversation I had ever had with a bird. "You've become popular. Really popular. Too popular. People show up here, organize fan meetups, give you gifts that cost more than my monthly gym membership, and I can't keep up." Helen walked up to me and nudged my elbow with her beak. It could have meant don't be dramatic or give me sunflower seeds. With her, who knows? I sighed. "I'm genuinely happy you bring people joy. I am. But it's hard for me. I don't want you living under cameras. I don't want my house turning into a tourist attraction. And I don't want to lose you." Helen listened, really listened, like she actually understood. And for a moment, it felt like she was stepping closer to support me. The moment was gentle, almost magical. Then she bit my jeans. "Ow!" I yelped. "What the heck?" I put the sunglasses on her, and Helen turned and strutted majestically toward the house, as if to say, "This conversation is over." I was about to follow her when I heard voices beyond the fence. "Girls, this is the same yard. I heard Helen trains here for attacks. Maybe she'll do it right now." No. I dashed to the gate and cracked it open just a few inches. "Please," I said as kindly as possible, "let's give Helen a break. She, a girl shouted, pointing at the yard. Helen was standing right behind me, wearing the tiny New York sunglasses. And she wasn't just standing, she was posing. Head held high, wings slightly spread, expression screaming, "Yes, it's me. Bow down." "You're doing this on purpose," I whispered to her. And then something happened that none of us expected. Not me, not the fans, and probably not even Helen herself. The goose walked up to me and leaned against me, gently, softly, as if nothing in the world mattered more than me. The crowd gasped. Cameras clicked 100 times over, and suddenly I understood something simple and clear as the morning sun. She loves me, in a goose kind of way. Clumsy, aggressive, chaotic, but she loves me. And maybe I should learn to live with the fact that my best friend is a small winged hurricane who makes the world a little crazier, but also so much warmer. I stroked her back. "Okay, Helen," I whispered. "If you're going to be a star, then I'll be your manager, but only if you stop attacking the mailman." She looked at me and honked very unambiguously, "No!" I laughed, because I knew ahead of us lay chaos, fame, fans, problems, but also a friendship I wouldn't trade for anything.